My girlfriend announced she was pregnant and said, "Now you're trapped with me forever." I replied, "Let's celebrate with a doctor's appointment together." She suddenly got defensive. That's not necessary. The fake pregnancy test I found in her drawer 3 days later confirmed everything. I, 29 male, have been with my girlfriend, 27, for about 11 months. We met through mutual friends at a barbecue last summer, hit it off instantly, and things moved pretty fast. She moved into my apartment around the 6-month mark. My place, my lease, my name on everything. Looking back, that was probably a red flag I missed. She was really eager to consolidate our lives quickly. At the time, I thought it was romantic. Now I see it differently. Things were good for a while, or at least, I thought they were. But over the past few months, she'd been dropping hints about our future and commitment with increasing frequency. Comments about engagement rings when we walk past jewelry stores. Questions about whether I saw myself as a father. Casual mentions of her friends getting married. I'm not opposed to commitment. I just believe in timelines that make sense. 11 months isn't nothing, but it's also not, let's get married tomorrow territory for me. I'm the kind of person who likes to be sure. My parents divorced when I was 14, and I watched them tear each other apart for years afterward. I promised myself I'd never rush into something that important. Last Thursday night, she came home from work acting weird. Fidgety. Excited, but also nervous. She asked me to sit on the couch, said she had something important to tell me. Big dramatic buildup. "Babe, I have something to tell you." "Okay?" She pulled out a pregnancy test from behind her back with a flourish. 2 pink lines. "Positive. I'm pregnant. We're having a baby." I felt my stomach drop. Not because I don't want kids someday, I do. But because something felt immediately off. We'd been careful. Really careful. I'm borderline paranoid about protection because I watched my older brother get trapped in a nightmare custody situation with his ex. He's been paying child support for 8 years for a kid she barely lets him see. That experience made me vigilant. Before I could even fully process, she said something that made every alarm bell in my head go off at once. "Now you're trapped with me forever." She laughed when she said it, like it was a joke, but her eyes weren't laughing. They were watching me, calculating, waiting for my reaction like a scientist observing an experiment. I kept my face neutral. Years of poker nights with the guys finally paying off. "Wow," I said carefully. "This is big news. We should celebrate." Her face lit up. "Really? You're happy?" "I mean, it's unexpected, but let's do this right. Let's make a doctor's appointment together. Get you started on prenatal vitamins, figure out the timeline, all that responsible parent stuff." The shift in her expression was instantaneous. The excitement dimmed. Something flickered behind her eyes. Panic? "Oh, that's not necessary right now. It's too early. They won't even see you until like 8 weeks. "How far along do you think you are?" "I don't know, maybe 6 weeks. But seriously, there's no rush. The test is positive. That's all we need to know for now." I'd still feel better if we got it confirmed by a professional. Blood test, the works, make sure everything's healthy. My cousin had an ectopic pregnancy that could have been serious if she hadn't caught it early. "Why don't you trust me?" Her voice sharpened. "I'm telling you I'm pregnant. The test is right there. Why do you need a doctor to validate it? It's not about trust. It's about being responsible. This is a big deal. We should do it properly." She crossed her arms. "You're being controlling. This is my body. I'll go to the doctor when I'm ready." I didn't push further that night. But I also didn't sleep. Something was wrong, and I needed to figure out what. Over the next 3 days I watched. Paid attention to details I'd normally overlook. She wasn't acting pregnant. No morning sickness. No fatigue. No food aversions or cravings. She was still drinking her nightly glass of wine, which, correct me if I'm wrong, you're not supposed to do when pregnant? When I mentioned the wine thing casually, she waved it off. "1 glass won't hurt. European women drink wine all through pregnancy. That's not how that works." I'm not a doctor, but I'm also not an idiot. Day 2, she went to the bathroom and I noticed she didn't even glance at the pregnancy test she'd left on the dresser. If I thought I was pregnant, I'd be looking at that thing constantly, Googling symptoms, tracking everything. She seemed completely unconcerned with any actual pregnancy-related behavior. Day 3, she went to brunch with her friends. The second she left, I felt like garbage for what I was about to do, but I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being played. I searched her nightstand drawer. Found it almost immediately. A receipt from a website called prankpregnancy.com, $24.99 for a realistic positive pregnancy test. Shipped to her work address so I wouldn't see the package. The order date was 5 days before her announcement. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at that receipt, feeling something cold settle in my chest. She'd planned this, bought a fake test, had it shipped secretly. Rehearsed that speech. Now you're trapped with me forever. That wasn't a joke. That was the mission statement. I took photos of the receipt with my phone, multiple angles, close-up of the website name, the date, the item description. Then I put everything back exactly how I found it. When she came home from brunch, I was sitting on the couch watching football like nothing happened. "Hey babe, miss me?" "Always." I smiled. "Hey, I was thinking, I want to throw you a little celebration dinner. Invite your parents, my parents. Announce the pregnancy properly." Her face went through about 6 emotions in 2 seconds. Surprise, fear, calculation, forced happiness, more fear. "Oh, isn't it too early? You're supposed to wait until 12 weeks to announce." "Nah, this is family. They can keep a secret. I already texted my mom. She's thrilled. I hadn't texted anyone, but I wanted to see how far she'd let this go. Can we just wait a bit? I'm not ready for all that attention." "Sure, no rush, but hey, let's at least get that doctor's appointment scheduled. I found an OBGYN with excellent reviews who has openings this week. I told you, I'm not going to a doctor yet." "Why not?" "Because I said so." She was getting angry now. Defensive. "Why are you pushing this so hard? Don't you believe me?" I looked at her for a long moment. Then I pulled out my phone and showed her the photo of the receipt. "I believe this." The color drained from her face. Complete system failure. You went through my stuff?" "Yeah, I did, because my girlfriend told me she was pregnant, told me I was trapped forever, and then refused to see a doctor. Call it intuition. It's not what it looks like. It's a receipt for a fake pregnancy test from a prank website. What else could it possibly be?" She started crying. Full waterworks, instant tears. "I just wanted to see how you'd react. It was a test, to see if you really loved me. A test." "Yes, because you never talk about our future. You never mention marriage. I needed to know if you were serious about us. So you faked a pregnancy to test me. When you put it like that, it sounds bad, but it is bad. There's no way to put it that isn't bad. You ordered a fake test. You planned this. You said I was trapped. This isn't a joke gone wrong. This is manipulation. I love you. I just wanted to know you loved me too." I stood up. "Pack your stuff. You have until Sunday to find somewhere else to stay." The tears stopped remarkably fast. "You can't kick me out. I live here. You're not on the lease. You don't pay rent. You've been here 5 months. I'm giving you 3 days to leave, which is more than legally required." "This is insane. Over a little prank?" "A little prank where you tried to trap me with a fake pregnancy. We're done." She stared at me like I'd grown a second head, like she genuinely couldn't comprehend that her plan had backfired this spectacularly. "You're gonna regret this," she said quietly. "Maybe, but I doubt it." Update 1, 1 week later. She didn't leave quietly. Shocking, I know. Sunday came and went. She refused to pack, refused to acknowledge that we were broken up, kept acting like everything was normal, making dinner, trying to cuddle on the couch, asking what I wanted to watch on Netflix. Complete denial of reality. I slept on the couch, my own couch, in my own apartment, but whatever, and kept communication to a minimum. Just kept repeating, "You need to leave. This is over." Monday morning, I consulted with a lawyer buddy from college. He confirmed that since she wasn't on the lease and hadn't established legal residency, no mail there, no bills in her name, only been there 5 months, I could ask her to leave and involve police if necessary. Different states have different rules, but in mine, she was essentially a long-term guest. I gave her a formal written notice. Dated, signed, kept a copy for myself, took a photo of it with a timestamp. That's when her family got involved. Tuesday afternoon, I get a call from an unknown number. It's her mother. "What is wrong with you?" "My daughter is devastated. She can barely eat." "Ma'am, your daughter faked a pregnancy to trap me. I have the receipt. That's ridiculous. She would never do that. She's a good girl. I have photographic evidence. I'm looking at it right now. I don't care what you think you have. You're breaking her heart over nothing. She loves you. She lied to me in the most manipulative way possible. Premeditated, planned, we're done. You men are all the same. The second things get real, you run. The second a woman asks for commitment, you bail. Things didn't get real. Things got fake, literally, a fake pregnancy test from the internet. She hung up on me. Wednesday, her father showed up at my door. Big guy. Construction worker type. Tried to intimidate me with his size. You're going to make this right with my daughter. Sir, I'm not going to make anything right because your daughter did something wrong. She faked a pregnancy. That's manipulation. I'm not interested in continuing a relationship with someone who does that. She made a mistake. People make mistakes. You're going to destroy her life over one mistake? Ordering a fake pregnancy test online, waiting for it to ship, and then staging a reveal complete with rehearsed lines is not a mistake. That's premeditated deception. He got in my face, close enough I could smell his aftershave. You're going to regret treating her like this. Is that a threat? He didn't answer, just glared at me for a long moment, then left. Thursday, she finally started packing, but not without one last manipulation attempt. I'm actually pregnant now, she said, standing in the doorway of the bedroom with her arms crossed. I actually laughed, couldn't help it. No, you're not. I am, for real this time. I took a real test this morning. Great. Go to a doctor and get a blood test. Bring me the results with a timestamp from this week. I'll wait. Why won't you just believe me? Because you spent almost 2 weeks refusing to see a doctor for your fake pregnancy. You've destroyed any credibility you had. If you're actually pregnant, which I seriously doubt, a doctor can confirm it. Until then, I don't believe a word out of your mouth. She stormed out, slamming the door so hard a picture fell off the wall and cracked the frame. Friday, I got a text from her best friend. You're a monster. She's been crying for days. I hope you're happy with yourself. I replied with just the receipt photo. No response after that. Complete silence. But here's where things got really interesting. Saturday morning, I got a call from a detective at the local police department. My blood ran cold. Sir, we've received a report regarding a domestic incident at your address. We'd like you to come down to the station to answer some questions. What kind of incident? I'd rather discuss it in person. I called my lawyer buddy immediately. He met me at the station. Turns out, she'd filed a report claiming I'd been emotionally abusive and controlling during our relationship. Nothing physical, thank God, but she was trying to build a narrative. Get ahead of the story. Here's where being paranoid and documenting everything saved my life. I had the receipt photos with timestamps, screenshots of our text conversations where she admitted the test was a test of our relationship, the written eviction notice I'd given her with her signature acknowledging receipt, a log of her father's visit and implicit threat, texts from her family members harassing me. My lawyer presented everything to the detective. The detective looked through it all, looked at me, and sighed. Between us, this looks like someone trying to get ahead of a breakup story. I've seen it before. Woman files first, hoping to establish herself as the victim before the truth comes out. There's nothing actionable here against you, but I'd recommend documenting everything going forward and considering a protective order if the harassment continues. So I'm not in trouble? No, but I'd be careful. People who file reports like this sometimes escalate when they don't get the result they want. I left the station feeling like I'd aged 10 years in one morning, but also grateful I'd kept evidence. Update 2. 2 weeks later, the harassment didn't stop, it just changed forms. Her younger sister started texting me from different numbers. Always the same theme. I was a coward, I was afraid of commitment, I was going to die alone and deserve it. I was emotionally stunted and would never find anyone better. Real mature stuff. I blocked each number as it came, but kept screenshots of everything. Her mother left a voicemail on my phone that was genuinely unhinged. 5 full minutes of crying and screaming about how I'd ruined her daughter's life and destroyed her chances of having a family and taken the best years of her life. I saved that too. Every bit of evidence. Then came the mutual friends. One by one, people I thought I knew started reaching out with concerns. Had I really kicked her out over nothing? Had I overreacted to a harmless prank? Was I really going to throw away almost a year over one small mistake? She'd clearly been working the phones, telling her version of events. I sent every single one of them the receipt photo. The responses fell into two categories. Category 1, "Oh, I didn't know that part. That's actually really messed up. I'm sorry, man." Category 2, radio silence. Read receipt, no response, never heard from them again. The friend group split almost 60-40 in my favor once people saw the evidence. The 40% who stuck with her, they didn't care about the truth. They'd already decided I was the villain, and no amount of evidence was going to change that. Fine by me. Trash took itself out. But here's where she really showed her true colors. 2 weeks after she moved out, I got a letter from a lawyer. An actual attorney's letter on letterhead, demanding $8,000 in relocation expenses because I had forced her from her home without adequate notice and caused her significant financial hardship. I showed it to my lawyer buddy. He actually laughed out loud. "This is ridiculous. She wasn't on the lease, didn't pay rent, and you gave her written notice. This is a shakedown, pure and simple. Someone told her she might be able to get money out of you, and she's taking a shot." What do? We respond with the facts, include all your documentation, and mention that any continued harassment may result in a countersuit for emotional distress and defamation. That usually ends things pretty quick. The response letter went out, included the fake pregnancy receipt, the police report outcome, the documented harassment from her family, the voicemail transcript, everything. A week later, I got a call from her lawyer. Very different tone this time. "My client has decided not to pursue the matter further." That's it? That's it. But off the record, whatever she told me wasn't the full story. I apologize for wasting your time. Small victory, but a victory nonetheless. But there was one final act of entitlement. She showed up at my apartment building. Not at my door. She couldn't get in anymore since I'd informed the building manager of the situation and shown him the police report. But she waited in the parking garage for 3 hours, just sitting on the hood of her car. When I came home from work, there she was. "We need to talk." "No, we don't. And you being here after everything that's happened is crossing a serious line. I just want to understand what went wrong. I deserve closure. You faked a pregnancy to trap me. That's what went wrong. It was a mistake, a moment of weakness. Why can't you forgive one mistake? Because it wasn't a mistake, it was a plan. You researched websites. You ordered a fake test. You had it shipped to your work so I wouldn't see. You waited for it to arrive. You rehearsed your announcement. You chose your words carefully. Trapped forever. That's not a moment of weakness. That's weeks of calculated manipulation. I was scared of losing you. So you tried to trap me instead. That's not love. That's control. That's what abusers do." She started crying. The familiar manipulation tactic that had worked on me before. But not anymore. "I don't have anywhere to go. My life is falling apart. Everything is your fault. You're living with your parents in a nice house. Your life is not falling apart. You're facing consequences for your actions for maybe the first time ever. You're so cold. You never really loved me, did you? I loved who I thought you were. That person apparently doesn't exist." I walked past her into the building. She yelled after me, "You're going to regret this forever. You'll never find anyone who loves you like I do." The building manager saw the whole thing on the security camera, added it to the documentation file we'd started. 3 more instances like this, and I'd have enough for a restraining order. Update 3. Final update, 5 weeks later. Here's the resolution. And honestly, it's more of a slow fade than a dramatic finale, which feels appropriate for real life. After the parking garage incident, I filed for a protective order through my lawyer. Not a full restraining order. He said that might be difficult to get since there were no physical threats documented, but a formal cease and desist through legal channels that basically said, "Contact me again in any form and there will be legal consequences." It worked. Mostly. She stopped contacting me directly. Her family stopped calling. The lawyer letters stopped. For about 2 weeks, I thought it was actually over. Then I heard through the grapevine what was happening on her end. Apparently, the story had gotten around. The fake pregnancy thing. Someone, I genuinely don't know who, and I'm not losing sleep trying to figure it out, had shared the story in a group chat that included some of her coworkers. Not the receipt itself, just the general outline of what happened. It spread from there. I didn't orchestrate this. I didn't post anything on social media. I didn't send mass emails. I just told the truth to people who asked me directly what happened and showed them evidence when they doubted me. Truth has a way of traveling on its own. Her reputation took a hit, not a career-ending, life-destroying hit. That's not how real life works, but enough that people looked at her differently. Enough that the narrative she'd been spinning about me being the villain didn't stick. Enough that when she told her version of events, people were already skeptical. Her mother called me one last time. I shouldn't have answered, but I did. I hope you're happy. You've absolutely ruined her. She can't show her face anywhere. Ma'am, I didn't ruin anyone. Your daughter made a choice. She planned a deception, executed it, got caught, and is now facing the social consequences of that choice. I didn't make her buy a fake pregnancy test. I didn't make her try to trap me. I didn't make her family harass me for weeks. I didn't make her file a false police report. All I did was refuse to accept being manipulated. You could have handled it privately. You didn't have to tell everyone. I did handle it privately. I only told people who asked me directly. If the story spread beyond that, maybe your daughter should have thought about that before she did something so easily shareable. Maybe she should have thought about how it would look when people found out. You're a cruel, heartless man. I hope you know that. She hung up. Last week I ran into one of our mutual friends at a coffee shop, the kind who'd stayed neutral through everything, hadn't taken sides. Hey man, how are you holding up? Better. It's been a lot, but I'm getting through it. Yeah, I bet. For what it's worth, I never doubted you. The whole thing was insane from the start. Thanks, I appreciate that. She's not doing great, if you care to know. Living with her parents. Pretty isolated. Most of the friend group doesn't really talk to her anymore. She's working some retail job because she quit her old position. I think she was embarrassed to go back there after the story got around. Part of me felt bad hearing that. The part that had genuinely cared about her for 11 months, that remembered the good times, that remembered thinking she might be the one. But a bigger part of me recognized that this was the natural consequence of her actions. I didn't do this to her. She did this to herself. I don't wish her ill, I said honestly, but I'm also not going to lose sleep over it. Fair enough. As for me, I'm okay. Not great, not terrible, just okay, which feels like progress. The trust issues are real. I'm in no rush to date again. My therapist? Yeah, I started seeing one, no shame in that, says that's normal after something like this, that it takes time to recalibrate your instincts when someone deliberately manipulates them. The apartment feels different now, quieter. I've rearranged some furniture, bought some new stuff that's just mine, donated the things she left behind. Reclaiming the space, I guess. My lawyer buddy told me to keep all the documentation for at least 7 years, just in case anything resurfaces. So I have a folder on my computer labeled insurance that contains the entire saga. The receipt, the texts, the voicemails, the lawyer letters, the police report outcome, everything. I hope I never need to open it again. Here's what I learned. Trust your gut. When something feels wrong, it probably is. And when someone shows you who they really are, when they show you they're capable of calculated deception, of manipulation, of trying to trap you, believe them the first time. She tried to trap me with a lie. Instead, she trapped herself with the truth. The saddest part? If she just had an honest conversation with me about her fears, about wanting commitment, about feeling insecure in our relationship, we might have worked through it. I'm not unreasonable. I was genuinely building toward a future with her. Maybe we would have gotten engaged eventually. Maybe we would have had kids for real. But she didn't choose honesty, she chose manipulation. And that's not something I can build a life with. That's not something I'm willing to risk a future on. So yeah, that's the story. Not the most dramatic ending in the world. No courtroom showdowns or massive public takedowns, just a guy who caught a lie, refused to accept it, weathered the harassment that followed, and came out the other side intact. Sometimes that's all the victory you get, and sometimes that's enough. More great content is coming. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss out.